Hey guys, today we're gonna look into maximizing the DPS on Enhanced Shaman. And as you probably know, there are like over 10 different abilities we gotta actively manage during a boss encounter. So there's quite a lot of room for improvement and like small adjustments, which is something I really enjoy about it. And if it all comes together, boy, it's satisfying, let me tell you that. It's really satisfying to play Enhance. Also, since shamans aren't the most viable target for individual buffs like PI or Unholy Frenzy, our general output is actually a pretty level playing field, which makes it quite easy to compare logs and find rooms for improvement, which is quite nice. With that being said, this video won't be able to give you a one-fit-all type rotation, but I rather want to highlight the different things that go into making decisions to get the most out of every GCD. But first of all, just a few little things about talents and glyphs I want to just get out of the way. So obviously if you have a Frost DK, you don't need to put any talent points into improved Wind Fury. And if you got another Shaman who's picking up the Enhancing Totems talent for Strength of Earth Totem, you obviously can skip those ones as well. I've also seen a couple of guides online that are going for improved shield over Ancestral Knowledge, which is plain wrong in my opinion. You definitely want to go Ancestral Knowledge over improved shield, not the other way around. With single target, it's pretty even DPS wise, but as soon as you have multiple targets, which is most encounters in the current phase, there's quite a big DPS gap, 3-digit DPS gap between Ancestral Knowledge and Improved Shield. So yeah, definitely go Ancestral Knowledge. Also with glyphs real quick, obviously Flame Tongue and Fire Nova are must picks, and other than that you can use Storm Strike if you want to pass on individual bosses, or if you're looking for overall DPS, you probably want to use the Fire Elemental Totem instead, just so you have that up for every pull. Cool, with that out of the way, let's get into the actual rotation. So you obviously want to start your fight with double Flame Tongue weapon up. So lower rank will be on your main hand and the higher rank will be on the offhand. That is because Lava Lash only hits with your offhand, so there's a slight damage increase if you do it this way around. Other than that, obviously you want to have Lightning Shield up, and as soon as the pull timer gets close to 1, you'll want to pre-pot your Wild Magic Potion. After that, once we're actually into the fight and keep running towards the boss, we pop our Feral Spirits next, and we apply Flame Shock to the boss. Obviously, hold on to your Feral Spirits if you're delaying lust for like execute phase or anything like that. There are some bosses like Thaddeus and pretty much every boss that takes over 3.5 minutes. You can use your wolves on pull and use them later on again with Bloodlust. So if you can put down your wolves twice, you obviously want to do that for sure. Cool. So we pop Lust. Next, if you have another Shaman, preferably Resto, you probably want him to pop Lust just so you can save the GCD. The reason we want to pop Lust as soon as possible, if we're not delaying it, we need every melee hit we can to fish for Mirror of Truth and Berserk procs, because as soon as we get these procs, we can put our Fire Elemental Totem down. Just in case you're getting unlucky in the first 20 seconds of the pull and you don't get any of these procs, you still want to put your Fire Elemental Totem down while your Wild Magic Potion is still up. Fire Elemental Totem stays for 2 minutes, so yeah, we want to get that down as soon as possible. And from here on out, our highest priority is keeping the Storm Strike and Flame Shock debuff up on the boss, and obviously keeping your Lightning Shield up on you, and keep a Fire Totem down. So that's Fire Elemental in the beginning, or Magma Totem if Fire Elemental is on cooldown. I recently did a video on my UI and all my timers and trackers, and I also put the weak auras I use in the description, so I'm just gonna link that video on the top right corner right now. Cool. So after we're making sure all the debuffs are applied to the boss, our actual first highest priority spell is Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt! Lightning Bolt!
So you want to cast Lightning Bolt pretty much whenever you can, so that is with at least 2 Maelstrom weapon stacks. If there are multiple enemies, obviously we use Chain Lightning over Lightning Bolt. Generally speaking, we can pretty much do whatever we want mana-wise. We shouldn't go at all, so that's pretty sweet. So you can use Chain Lightning for multiple enemies, or if it's just one enemy and you don't have enough time to weave in an actual Lightning Bolt, use Chain Lightning. The cast time is actually a bit less, so makes it easier to weave in sometimes. Alright, now it gets a bit interesting. After Lightning Bolt, our next priority theoretically would be either Earthshock or Fire Nova, depending on the amount of enemies. If it's single target, obviously Earthshock, and if it's multiple targets, we obviously prioritize Fire Nova. But we also gotta keep in mind if Flame Shock is still up for more than 6 seconds. Because if it isn't, we probably want to skip Earthshock and prioritize Fire Nova over it. So generally speaking, we gotta plan like 2 to 3 GCDs ahead by making our decisions from here on out. Also keeping Flame Shock and Stormstrike debuff in mind at all times. So what I mean with that is, let's say we got 2 Maelstrom charges and we couldn't quite manage to get that Lightning Bolt in just yet. So we decide we go with an Earthshock instead, and chances are pretty high we get another Maelstrom proc and we'll be able to weave with the next GCD. So now the question is, will Stormstrike debuff still be up by then? Maybe it makes more sense to waste half a GCD and go Lightning Bolt instead of Earthshock, but then question is if we got more than 10 seconds left on Flame Shock debuff to be able to delay Earthshock by 2 GCDs, and don't sacrifice any Flame Shock uptime. So you see there's no fixed rotation for Enhanced Shaman, and even the priority list has a lot of factors to take into account at any given time. So eventually this will all become kind of muscle memory, I guess, but for the beginning it's just important to understand the thought process behind making these kind of decisions. Also, keep in mind Lightning Bolt is always the highest priority, as we never want to overcap on Maelstrom stacks. So if you're at like 3 or more stacks, you want to weave that Lightning Bolt, even though your Stormstrike debuff might run out before that. Yeah, that's the importance of planning ahead, because you will run into these kind of hiccups eventually. Cool. Brings us to our last spell, Lava Lash, which I guess is a bit of a meme at the moment, but it'll become stronger and more important in later phases for sure. But for now, it's a good filler ability. It is an instant hit, which gives us another chance at a Maelstrom proc, and if you have nothing else to press, might as well press that, I guess. Cool. So that's pretty much everything. If I forgot anything, or if you guys got any questions regarding that video, please just feel free to chuck it in the comments. I know it's a lot, but to perform well on Enhance, you gotta understand the thought process behind all these decisions, just so you can get the maximum out of every GCD. What I just wanted to add lastly is a lot of our damage actually comes from AoE abilities, specifically Fire Nova and Chain Lightning. So with most bosses in the current phase, the ads actually still count towards your overall damage and passes. So that's something to keep in mind. There are a few bosses where you don't have to worry about AoE. That is Meixner, Instructor, also North, the ads don't count, and Kel'Thuzad, the ads don't count. So that's neither the first little waves nor the big ads in the beginning. So for Kel, it's literally just Kel'Thuzad damage that counts in the logs in the end. Alright, that's pretty much all for today. Yeah guys, I really hope that helped you, and catch you at the next one. Cheers.